mics do a good job of not having that background noise, right?
Right. Yeah, we'll cool ourselves down. Okay, for just a record, what is your name?
ChrisPyeatt.
And where do you work?
2 places. I'm the CEO of a place called Rise Careers, and then I'm also the senior account executive for Pitch 59.
Okay.
I used to be a marketing director.
Okay. We'll get into that in a second. Let me change. All right. So there's kind of four areas that we'll talk about. I'll have 2 questions for each area.
Okay.
So the first one has to do with finding and networking.
Yep.
When you think about the best people your company has hired, how were they first discovered and noticed?
So my company, I've only hired like 2 people ever, like when I was a CEO. But other companies that I've worked for, the best people that were discovered were by family and friends.
Okay. So a networking type.
100%.
Okay.
And I guess for the record, what I do is help people get jobs.
Okay.
I'm the CEO of a company that helps people get jobs. So I can speak about hundreds of people, and the best people that get found, you get noticed by having your talent known by a lot of people that are in a specific niche, and they help you get the next job.
Okay.
That's literally how the best people get jobs for $30,000 to $50,000 salary increases.
Interesting.
I can tell you that hundreds of times, not just like once or twice.
So if you were to narrow it down and I were to say, all right, what is it that people need to do? What is the answer?
They need to go network with people that understand their skill set.
Okay.
Now I said that intentionally. I'm not sure if you want me to look at you or the camera.
It doesn't matter because all I'm doing is capturing the audio.
Okay. So 100%, let me be more articulate and dive a little deeper. Okay. What we don't want people to do, and what so many people waste their time is, well, someone tells me to network. I just got on a call like 3 days ago with a guy that was like, I hear this a lot to network, and he makes over 100,000. And he was like, so I just think like, I guess get to know my neighbors, talk to people at church, and he's not LDS. And he was like, just like in my community, I told him like, yeah, that's the way. It's not gonna be super effective. And he said, then what do people mean by networking? And I said, think of a conference. You're a marketing professional, you're going to a marketing conference. Your goal is to meet 100 different marketing professionals that work at other organizations. If you talk with them and network with them, real network is to share back and forth, not a one-way communication. So that's important to identify. Are you just taking from other people? Because eventually that burns bridges. Or are you trying to give back? So let's take you and I, for example. I worked for you. We became professor-student first relationship. Yeah. I tried to demonstrate that I had an aptitude for speaking or for presenting. I was interested and passionate. So then I asked you for a job. You chose to hire me. I worked for you. Hopefully that worked out pretty well. Yeah. Whether I was the best employee or not didn't matter. But well enough I didn't burn a bridge, which is the important thing. So then years later I could check in and see how you were doing. And then you were able to help me to become a keynote speaker at an event here at BYU, Idaho. And that happened, I believe, because we kept a rapport for 15 years. That's give and take. Choosing to know someone and then donate something to BYU Idaho that helps other students. That's because of give and take. I wouldn't just do it to anybody. It's because I consider you a friend, not just an employee of BYU Idaho. It is no different in the business world. So let me switch gears to a professional setting. I had somebody reach out that was looking for a job. They paid me $1,500 to help them find a job. I helped rewrite their resume, helped redo their LinkedIn. She was trying to do a transition to a new industry. She lived out in DC near me, which isn't typical. Typically, I just help people all across the nation, not like anywhere near my locale. But I lived south of DC and she was only about 15 minutes away. And that mattered. It was during COVID, and the company that I used to work for, I did really good, but then I got headhunted to go double my salary. The general manager that reported to the vice president out in California, we built a strong rapport. He tried keeping me and giving me a higher salary, but it wasn't nearly high enough. And 2 years later, I reached out to him and said, hey, how's it going? He's like, hey, it's going great. How you doing? Well, now I run my own company. He hired my recommendation, gave her an immediate interview on the spot. And he told me, like I texted him, his name's Tom Parr, and I texted him and he said, because of the good work you did, I trust your name, I trust the quality. You wouldn't be wasting my time. That's networking with a capital N.
Yeah.
When you've built a rapport that other people trust, regardless of whether you still work for them. The students need to figure out how to let people in their industry know what type of work they're doing and show their passion for it. That will do more good than anything else anybody on this campus is going to teach them, is their ability to use what the professor taught them and then actually go talk to professionals and show an aptitude toward it, and then build that over years and keep in touch years later, even after they get that first job. Because the reality is, and someone here at BYU Idaho told me this in a class, not to be long-winded about this one question, but this is the last fitting thing that they said, be careful about how you network. I think it was Sister Bergstrom, and she said, because maybe someone in this class one day will be your boss. And when you're sitting in a hiring interview, they may remember how you acted in class or how you interacted with them in a project, and that may go into their hiring decision as to whether they want you to report to them.
I love that. I love that. So, let me do a follow-up.
Yeah.
If your company is sorting through applications, what makes a person rise to the top before the interview stage? Because I know networking's key, but you
Referral.
also... Okay, referral.
Do you know how the back end of a referral works?
Teach us.
So let's say 1,000 people go for a marketing job. If you have an internal referral that has a name, it actually gets slated directly to the recruiter on the back end of their system. They may have 25 referrals from different employees. You may be at the bottom 800 because when you applied, you may be the top candidate and never get looked at.
Yeah.
Because they found who they wanted within the first 25 referrals.
So it narrows it down from 1,000 to 25 just from an internal referral.
Yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't mean it guarantees you. You have to be qualified for the job.
Right.
But if there's 1,000 applicants that are qualified, you could have a very low chance of being offered the job.
Okay.
Or even given an interview.
Okay, so the follow-up question...
Like networking not just key, it's paramount.
Yeah.
Like good luck getting a job if you're not networking.
Because a lot of it is getting yourself in front of the people.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about when you're in front of the people. So this comes up to my second stage, the interview hiring. What qualities or skills make someone stand out during an initial hiring process, beyond your resume and formal qualifications?
So the research I've done for my company and helping people get jobs shows that, like I've interviewed hundreds of hiring managers, which I guess fits under this.
Yeah.
Hiring managers have told me over and over and over 90% of them, they know within the first 60 seconds whether they want you to either move on or give you the job. You get 60 seconds with facial expressions, tone of voice, confidence, how you carry yourself, and how you articulate.
Okay.
Communication's everything. It's everything. And people that I coach that pay me thousands of dollars don't realize that. I can't tell you how many times I've had a director or vice president tell me, I already know how to do this and this, like, I don't know that I need your help. The fact that you just said that shows me that you need my help. Because you don't know how to work with humans that you think are beneath you. That comes across in an interview. I had a vice president get declined for a job offer because they told him they were concerned after the fact that he would be rude to all the people that reported to him. And another story, that was someone that I helped become a C-suite previous in his career. He said that when he walked in, he greeted the receptionist and shook hands and everything and asked how her day was going. And then he waited in the lobby of a big corporate office in Chicago or somewhere for like 20 minutes. And then he went back and he had one interview, and then there was another interview, which is pretty typical for a senior level position. They might have like 4 to 6 hours of interviews if they flew you out there.
Yeah.
They told him he got the job. They told him that after he got the job, there was somebody far more qualified that actually came like a few hours before him. And he was a total jerk to the receptionist. He just felt like he owned the room, that he was the CEO. And he asked, why did I get the job, like a couple months later? And they said the other guy that was far more qualified, the executive that he was going to be reporting to, the C-suite member, said, if you treat my receptionist that way, I can't imagine how you treat your own employees. And he said, you will never have a job here. He got blacklisted. That guy called the people in his network because he knew he was looking for a job.
So network is the opposite way.
He got blackballed because of how he treated a receptionist. He then said one step further, since this is about hiring and people getting jobs. He said, they actually intentionally don't bring you back for at least 10 minutes to see how you interact with people in the waiting room and the receptionist. It's part of their hiring process for senior leaders. They want to see if you treat all people equal.
Interesting.
And this was like a big bank, like in Chicago or New York.
So you said in the first 60 seconds.
They know. They have a gut feeling outside of the church. That's what they say.
Okay.
I've talked to people, leaders inside the church, and they say that they feel like it's a spiritual impression. They just know that you're a good fit. And I have personal experience of that. Yeah. CEOs hired me, and they said, we don't even know that you're as qualified as you should be for this job, but we just feel that it's the right thing to do. They know.
Interesting. Okay.
And let's do one more follow-on question.
Yeah.
So I've asked them, well, how does that follow through then? 60 seconds is not very much when you have to interview someone for an hour and a half. And they said, the rest of the hour is actually to see whether my gut instinct was right. Most of my questions are geared towards finding a reason why I shouldn't hire you, not why I should. Job seekers have it flipped. They think all the questions typically in the interview were to prove something. From the hiring manager's perspective, it's actually to see whether you can do all the things your resume said you could do. They're looking for the reason to see if you lied, to see if you're qualified, to see if you actually have stories to back up what you wrote.
If you've overinflated your resume. Yeah.
Which happens a lot.
Yeah.
Because the last thing they want to do, a lot of people don't realize this, and I didn't know this either. My father-in-law was a CEO, told me that the number that actually gets attributed to a new hire is 6 months of your salary is paid as part of the hiring process before you even make the company 1 cent. So they invested $50,000 in you, in salaries, and getting people to organize, and getting you up to speed and for you to learn about their business. They don't want to make a wrong hire.
Yeah.
Businesses do that enough times with high churn, you're bleeding out. Corporations can't lose that much money over and over. So they got to make the right decision.
Interesting. First 60 seconds. I love that. Okay, what are the most common reasons someone gets hired even when there are multiple qualified candidates?
Because I haven't really been like a hiring manager, I'm not going to speak to that specifically. Okay. I don't have good enough data to back up. I help people get the jobs, and like I walk them through, but I believe a lot of it's from presentation.
Okay.
I don't want to give you false data for your research.
That's okay. Well, and a lot of it is like if you gave me something false, it would probably just kind of like, that's an outlier.
Yeah.
All right. So here's an important question. What warning signs or gaps make you hesitate to hire someone even if they appear qualified on paper?
So that depends on job, actually. Like certain industries, people want confidence more.
Okay.
Certain industries, people want how they articulate really well. Like, are we going to put them in front of, are you an externally facing employee? That's going to matter more. How you look, like in the interview, how you dress and stuff is going to matter. If you're an engineer, how you dress doesn't matter. It's just the truth. They can show up in a t-shirt and get a job.
Right.
Because they're being hired to sit behind a desk and not see anybody.
So think about the two people that you've hired.
Yeah, one was marketing and one was like operations.
Okay.
I interviewed, I guess I hired 3 people. I hired a BDR. I interviewed 15 people to be a business development representative for my organization. And the things I was looking for was whether she was articulate, whether she knew her stuff. So I had an idea of what it is that I needed her to do as the CEO. And I wanted to make sure that she had a background that actually said that she could do it really quickly. As a small business owner, I didn't have time to wait 2 months for her to learn how to do her job. I literally told her, you either can do it within the first 3 days or you can't do it. And if you can't do it, I'll fire you. It's not a big deal. Like I told her that as part of the interviewing process. And I wanted someone that could be dedicated to my business because it was pro bono. It was 100% commission.
Okay.
I wasn't hiring them with a salary. So you either can deliver, so here's the promise. It was a really big promise, which she was excited about, and everyone I interviewed which was I was going to pay them twice what most BDRs make if they could deliver appointments. That's the whole point in sales. If you can get appointments to my calendar and I can close those deals, then my company's going to make great money. I'm happy to give you 20% commission. Most BDRs make 7 to 10%. So 20% was going to be insane. She was really excited. She set up 17 appointments. I did fire her, like within 2 months, just like I told her I would. She had 20 years experience though. She set up 17 appointments and I was like, okay, great. Like, I guess you're good at your job. But I coached her on how to present. I coached her on how to talk about my business and understand what's called my ICP, my ideal candidate persona of who I wanted to work with. And all 17 people, she wasted my time. Everybody was like, I don't know why I'm on a call with you. Why would I pay you to get a job? Like, I need the job. Why would I pay you to get a job? And I was like, wow, you should have known all of this from my salesperson, should have already prepped you for why you're on the call with me. Yeah. My job is to close the deal, get the money, and help you get a job. Yeah. And they were just blown away. So it was a total waste of time. On the flip side, I hired this operations person that had recently been let go from another CEO. But she had 15 years experience and the company was kind of going under. And she was phenomenal. And there was something in the first 60 seconds, literally, that just in chatting with her, I was like, yeah, there's really something about you. Well, proving that point, she worked for me for only 3 months because I helped her get a $30,000 increase. And she still has that job today. So while she was working for me, she worked for less money because I couldn't afford her. She was really good at what she did. So why did I hire her? The way she carried herself, just in a Zoom call. Yeah. Everything I asked her about what I did, about what I needed done, she would take it and then expand. She's like, I've worked for a CEO for 15 years. She goes, I can do this and this, but have you thought about this and this? That's how you get a job.
Interesting.
Understand what the hiring manager actually needs and talk to them about their vision. How can you solve their real problem?
Interesting. I like that. I think you hit a key there. All right. Well, let's talk about like the trial or the interims. Like, all right, you got the job. Now you're the training process.
Yeah.
After someone is hired, what qualities or behaviors help them become a strong long-term fit for the workforce?
Attitude.
Can you expand on that? What do you mean by that?
So culture fit is a massive thing for whether you're going to keep your job. And I've been fired twice. So culture fit didn't play into my favor. I was running 100 miles an hour. I was calling out people where they made mistakes because I was trying to fix the problems. I've been a consultant for large organizations in the federal government, helping make some massive multi-million-dollar changes. It's what I just do naturally, is find mistakes and try to help fix them from a process standpoint, a procedure standpoint, an internal standpoint. And I rubbed the wrong people the wrong way. Within 6 months, I was fired as the marketing manager. When I was fired, they told me, we love your work, we don't like you. They still use my work today. The strategy I built, they hired another vice president. I wasn't even the vice president. I was doing the work that a vice president could or should have been doing. And I was doing a bunch of work for them. And one of my friends still worked there. And he said they sent out a message that literally said that. Chris is no longer with the company. We liked his work. We're going to keep using it as a strategy so that the employees didn't get worried. Because I was bringing more leads. We were driving more opportunities and pushing things forward. I was what's called a change agent. Some change agents don't do well. Ruffles too many people's feathers. So attitude. Do you fit the culture's attitude?
Interesting.
They were a more laid-back attitude as a whole corporation with 50 employees. They make good money, by the way. They make millions of dollars every year. Mm-hmm. And I was not that. I'm not laid back. It is go, go, go. If you see a problem, fix the problem. Why would you possibly work with the problem and just be okay with that as a vice president?
Yeah.
Rather than fixing it. Don't you have the power and the authority to fix it? Well, fix it. Stop wasting the company's money and time.
But it didn't fit the culture. But I'm sure there's other places that it's like...
Would have loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope. Let's fix it. That's important. Oh, interesting. All right. What skills or characteristics separate employees who simply perform their job from those who just become strong candidates for promotion?
What separates them to be ready for promotion? Like lets the other leaders know?
Right. So from just somebody that's just doing their work to somebody that's like, yeah, we need to get that person promoted. So
Yeah.
to keep them, we want to keep them.
So two things. One from personal experience. One of my first jobs out of BYU, Idaho, I worked at a contact center and I wanted to become a supervisor, and I didn't get the promotion. Well, not right away. I did eventually get it, but I didn't get it. And I became good friends with the general manager. And I asked him, I'm like the best. And I was. Like I had the numbers, the record, everything. And so this goes to why. And he said, the other team members think you're arrogant. I don't think you're going to be a good leader because they have to follow somebody and they hate you. And I was like, oh. And he said, by the way, I think that's a good lesson for you in business. You rub people the wrong ways, you won't be promoted. The best people don't always rise to the top if they tick everyone else off on the way up. And I was like, oh. So I changed some attitude things and tried to be more of a team player and help assist people in the break room. Like, hey, have you thought about doing this? I overheard you on this call. And so then I was promoted 3 months later. And now, I defend myself a bit. I did get 2 employees quit under me because I frustrated them and I made them cry because I can be a hard boss. But my results proved I was good for the business though. So it's a catch-22. I was the best supervisor from how I improved people's scores, which made them more money. It was taking calls and they needed to take calls more efficiently. And I improved like all of my team, 20 employees at BYU, Idaho. They all went to school here. And I improved like all of them by 50%, which was insane. Other supervisors were only doing like 10 to 15% improvements. But I was harsh about how I did it because I knew how to do it really well and I wasn't as kind, but I was articulate. If you do this, I promise the call will be shorter. If you do this, we'll get more information. Because I knew how to actually communicate. I had a degree in this. No other supervisor had a degree from BYU, Idaho, and certainly not in business or communication. So I knew how to talk to people on a phone. I knew how to get information from people and how to interview them. I learned those skills in classes like public speaking, how to talk to people, how to interact with people, how to gauge the audience, and then make adjustments. I used those skills to get promoted. And then I became an analyst. Because I was good at that, I shifted and became a really good analyst for the company. And I helped save them millions of dollars. I no longer had anybody reporting to me, but what I did on the call was helping be analytical and helping people improve, and then I did it with data and budgets to help save money.
Oh, interesting. Because of that, you stood out for promotion.
In other ways.
I like that.
So here's a better answer.
Yeah.
From people, hundreds of people get jobs. This is what I tell people. And I said it actually in an ordinary to extraordinary event. Find your spark. So what's your spark? You have a skill, be that sales, marketing, communication, public speaking. That may be a skill that's marketable to get you hired. Okay? That's not what gets you promoted.
Okay.
What gets you promoted is what else do you do that marries to the skill that got you hired that makes you extraordinary? Everybody has it, but what is it? When I helped hundreds of people get jobs, it's because I found their spark. So I'll give you an example.
Okay, please.
As a marketing manager, your job is to basically manage what goes out from a marketing perspective, but not people. So you manage things and systems. To become the marketing director at another company, I had to prove that I had an analytical ability, not just ability to create and attract. That was my spark. A lot of people in marketing are creative. They're not analytical. The really best people in marketing that are leaders are extremely analytical and also understood good creative and audiences. You have to have both. When I was working for the federal government as a contractor, they needed someone that had analytical ability, understood data, spreadsheets, helped solve problems, find the government some cost savings so that they could get more airplanes, those kinds of things at a cheaper value over 20 years. That was a cost analyst. I helped do that. When they found out how good I was at presenting to senior executives in the federal government, I was headhunted to double my salary. They said, we can hire 10 people that know how to run numbers. That's easy to find. We can't find a single soul in 100 people that know how to make us look good to the senior executives of the federal government. And I was put on special projects because of my ability to interact with senior executives, even in front of my boss. Like, my boss was on the call and I presented everything, not my boss, because my boss didn't have the skill. He was good at landing contracts and negotiating, was not so good at presenting all the ideas in a concise manner in a way that people at the 30 and 40,000 foot level find your spark. What makes you different? And if you say you don't have one, you need to do a little bit more self-reflection. Even as students, some of these sparks, I knew I had them at BYU Idaho. I knew I had some of them in high school. This isn't something that needs 10 years of work. Like, that's going to be maybe a follow-on question for you is, when did you know your spark? Well, the reality is, people think it takes them 10 years. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I've helped people that make $18 an hour, and I've helped people make $1 million a year. Everybody has a spark.
Yeah.
This isn't money-based. It's not industry-based. Find something that you like. Find something that you're qualified to do. And then what are you passionate to do, and how do you marry those? And that might mean leaving your industry. I've had to help people do that. Their industry, be that automotive, maybe didn't have an appetite for that. Healthcare. But the government might have an appetite for that. Tech companies might have an appetite for that. Find an industry that likes your appetite, that meshes with you, and then chase it really tenaciously. Now, going back to your other part, maybe a few questions ago, well, how would I do that? By networking. That's how.
Yeah.
So I literally tell people, especially in college, if you don't know what you want to do, go talk to 30 professionals for 15 minutes and ask them what they actually do for a job. Don't read their job description.
Yeah.
How many meetings do you sit in? Okay, great. So you have to interface with a lot of people? I don't want to do that. Okay, great. So don't get that job. I tell people 20 years into their career or a college student the same thing. If you're sick of interacting with people, find a job that doesn't interact with humans, because they're out there. I hate it when I found people that were like directors of operations, like, I want to get a new job. And they're like, but I'm really sick of dealing with the petty stuff that employees. So don't work with employees and stop being a director of operations. The director of operations has 30 people reporting to them that are all daily grunt workers, typically, of some kind. You got to deal with their crap. They came up frustrated they came home because they had a fight with their spouse and they're frustrated at work. Who are they going to tell? You, because you're the director of operations. And you're like, why are you having a bad day? You want to be like an engineer? Go be an engineer so you don't talk to anybody. And people say oh, I don't know if I can do that. Absolutely you can. AI can teach you how to be an engineer. Switch. You're not trapped. At least 4 of my clients had midlife crises in their 50s. I've helped them change out of a classroom for 25 years and go work in finance in corporate America. Total shift. Literally, we're a teacher of math in front of 30 kids a day, and we're sick of it. And now he talks to nobody, and he sits in front of a computer screen looking at spreadsheets in corporate finance.
He loves it.
And doubles his salary.
Yeah.
While loving what he does now. Don't tell me that you just can't. You're not too old. You're not too young. You're not too old. You're not too blue. You can go do this.
That's interesting. All right, well, let's dive into this a little bit more. What skills and characteristics separate employees who simply perform their jobs from those... Oh, wait, not that one. Sorry. I read the one. What qualities and behaviors or skills or skill gaps prevent people from being promoted even when they're technically good at their job?
They don't... I'm going to steal it from Sister Bergstrom.
Okay.
That wasn't recorded, but I already told you this, but now it's recorded, so it's for your record. I took a class called Group Dynamics, and she said, this is not going to get you hired. And everyone's like, well, we were seniors. She said, this will not, but it will get you promoted. She could not have been more right. If you can't learn to work with people, leaders don't want to promote you. The higher you get, the more people you have to. And what I mean by this is there's a term for it in business. Can you work cross-functionally? And And what that means is there's a function in the business that might be finance. Finance is like a sector or a vertical. But can you work with sales, customer success, product, engineering? People that can't work in groups can't be promoted, no matter how great you are at your job. So if you want to be what's called an IC or an individual contributor, you can be promoted, but you will always be capped out eventually. My wife has an uncle that works at, I think, Lockheed Martin, and he's amazing. He's a brilliant human being. He's went to BYU and has done amazing out there in DC. And he has hit a level for about 15 years that he can't be promoted above. More money, more nothing. They have levels, and they've told him multiple times, you want this? All these people have to report to you. No, not dealing with people. I just want to be an individual contributor. Yeah. Well, then be happy. That's where you're at. You can stay here another 25 years. We will never increase your dollar. That's what you make.
Unless you work well with people.
That's right. The good news is he makes enough money he doesn't care.
Yeah.
But it just drives home my point that businesses operate that way. It's just how they operate. You can't work well with people or don't want to. Maybe he can, but doesn't want to. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to, you will cap out at a certain level. You can only be an individual contributor adding so much value to a business. Let me give it a different way that has numbers attached. Okay. Let's say you're a really good salesperson and you bring in $1 million, okay, or $10 million. But that's all you do because you're one person. That's all the hours you have in your week, whatever. But what if you were a leader and you had 10 salespeople, but you knew how to transfer your strategy and your personality in a way that helps other people rise up in their own personality aspects, and you made all of them become $10 million performers. Mm-hmm. You just made the company $100 million. Yeah. Think you're gonna be paid more? You betcha. Mm-hmm. But if you're really, really good and you say, I want to be a leader, but nobody wants to work with you because you can't figure out how to work in groups, why would they promote you? You might make all those salespeople worse, not better.
Oh, interesting.
So they're not gonna do it.
So this might, you might have already said this, but it's a follow-up question. Did you mention working with people?
Yeah.
So how do working with people affect the hiring and promotion decisions? You might have already said this, but do you have anything to add to it?
Yeah, so interviewing.
Okay.
Right, so a panel session. I lost a job based on a panel session early on in my career. So instead I got a job for $10 an hour, they would have given me $45,000 a year. So 2.5 times what I was making. Mm-hmm. I did not get the job. I had a little bit lack of aptitude of like understanding some of the technical aspects of it, but not much. And I later worked at the same company. I asked the manager, why didn't I get the job? And he goes, because the team didn't want you. Mm-hmm. I didn't even leave it on me as the hiring manager. I thought I could teach you how to do the job and that was fine. I asked the other 4 people in the panel, would you want to have him as a team member and work with him? Do you know what didn't get me the job? And this is gonna sound funny, but I respect them for owning this. Yeah. They asked me if you were a Star Wars character, who would you be? I said, I haven't watched Star Wars in 10 years, I don't even have a clue. That was why I didn't get the job.
Just because you...
They said, we're way too geeky for you. And they said, we literally play Star Wars video games together after work, away from our family, here at the office. That's like how that's how we collaborate together. That's how we build a rapport here. And playing other games. And I was like, oh, now here's the good news. I got to work with those people in a different facet, like within the organization. I wouldn't have wanted to work with them. They irritated me. I didn't like their personality style. I didn't want to be on that team. It was a blessing to not get the job, even though it was twice the money.
Right.
So just trust that it's okay that sometimes things don't work out. This is a religious school. I know this is for your book, so maybe you aren't going to write about religion. But what I tell people, regardless of whether they're religious, is if they're willing to talk about God in any way, shape, or form during the process of working with me as a consultant, I tell them, we need to trust God in the process. Like I've already said, I've been fired. I prayed afterwards, and I knew that it was exactly what was meant to happen. I felt total peace. I had done good work, and I tried to work hard. I can hold my head up high. I offended people along the way, and I respect their decision to fire me. I found work at other places. Not everyone's going to be your cup of tea, and stop trying to make it so. Some people want so bad to fit into someone else's niche. It's not for you. So get over it. Let God redirect you. There is a place that you can fit.
I like that. Okay, last question, or maybe two questions. If you were to advise your 17-year-old self, who wants to be hired, succeed, or eventually be promoted, what would you tell yourself first and why? What would you tell yourself to develop first and why?
So there's this song called Letter to Me by Brad Paisley. You ever heard that? Mm-hmm. So I've listened to that song a ton. I've really liked it. And that's how he starts, is if I were to write a letter to me at 17, that's the lyrics of his song. And I agree with him. He gives himself some different advice about girlfriends or different things. Or, one of the things he says is, I'd study more math. He still becomes a singer, but he said it would give your parents a lot less heartache. And you wouldn't have to fight with your parents so much over the homework. So you'd have a better relationship with your dad or whatever. And I don't know if his dad passed away or whatever. And I was thinking about so when you ask that question, I've never been asked this question, but I've thought about it. So I'm 36. That was 19 years ago. My initial thought when you first asked was, don't change anything. Life's going to be great. And you're going to make mistakes along the way. And you're going to be fired. And you're going to be hired. And you're going to make good money. And you're going to help people. That's literally my initial gut reaction.
Yeah, but I'm not looking for your gut.
But if I were to get down to it of what would have helped me, learn to be less critical. Okay. Because Chris at 36 hasn't figured that out. Which is why I was fired. Learn to be less critical. And that goes a lot into communication. A ton. Let me expound on that.
Yeah, please.
When you're critical, you have a certain tone of how you speak that rubs people the wrong way. Your tone actually is what sets off what makes people defensive. There's these TikTok memes about it that the wives will say about their husbands. They're like, I like the information you're giving me, but man, I don't like your tone. And Nate Bargatze's a really good comedian, and he says, yeah, I like that my wife's mowing the yard. And then he goes, I don't like the tone it's mowed in. She's out there huffing and puffing and swearing about me. And so there's these jokes. Tone is what I struggle with. I have a deeper voice, not super deep, but it's kind of like a raspy voice. And when I go to speak to people, my children, my wife, people at work, they often think I'm angry and yelling at them, whether I raise my voice or not. It's not volume, it's tone. So, since this is recorded, one of the differences, I could sound like this instead. Hey, that was a really good feedback, and I'm grateful for how hard you worked today. As opposed to doing this. Hey, I really appreciate how you worked today. It sounds totally different. The other part about being critical is you're always finding fault and being pessimistic. You're choosing to see the bad, not the good. And there's some employees that I've worked with that I thought didn't add much value, to be frank, because I'm critical. And then there was a couple experiences that flipped the switch, and in unique settings I was like, oh, that's what they're really good at. So be patient with people. I was also just at, about criticality. I was just at a soccer game, and this lady was talking all about her spa, on the sidelines, and I thought she was very materialistic and a bit of a bimbo, to be frank. Later, she sat next to me while I was at that son's soccer game 2 weeks after that, and I chose to chat with her a little bit, and another mom that was sitting next to us. And boy, was I wrong. She actually worked at a level 1 trauma center of all of LA for the ER. And she was a nurse practitioner, which means she has a master's or a PhD in nursing. And is very smart. And has helped save literally thousands of people's lives after motorcycle accidents. Level 1 trauma is the worst. And she said, there's almost nothing that's happened to the human body I haven't seen in an ER room. and she knows how to help work with the ER docs to get it happen. Surgeons, neurosurgeons, some of the most brilliant minds on this planet in LA. She's not a bimbo. Don't make judgments about people by being critical. Those might be some of your best friends if you would have just been nicer. But you rubbed them the wrong way on a first impression. And they're like, ugh, this guy's prickly. I don't want him, or her. So don't be critical of people. It's going to show a lot.
Okay. All right, last question. When you think about the people who are most successful in your organization or industry, what qualities and characteristics or skills do they consistently demonstrate?
The top leaders are really good at organizing people. Like really good. I think of the last CEO that I worked for. He was so articulate in meetings, like there might be 8 or 10 people, and he'd be very decisive. Where are we at with this? What are we doing on this? It came across my desk yesterday that this is a problem. What are we doing to address that? Chris, you're a leader in marketing. What are we doing to try to work with product so we can get something out? They're very articulate, and they understand a lot, and they're receiving a lot of information, but they know how to make good decisions quickly without offending lots of people. So you have to be able to do a lot of different things from like a communicative standpoint and also just a business standpoint. You need to know what's happening in order to make those decisions. So you have to be aware, and you have to have curiosity to ask enough questions to know what's happening in the industry and in your business. But you also have to be able to lead people without offending them. So because I could feel that he had a passion for what he was running and what business he had built, and I understood, and I watched interviews of him and stuff, I knew that he also had a smart aptitude about the industry, which was easier to follow as a leader of marketing, to be able to say, hey, when he gives you this idea, he's done a lot of thought about this. There was a different CEO that I worked with that acted like he knew a lot about the industry and actually knows very little. Because I know people that work in the industry that we were serving. Actual people that are like the senior executive leaders that we were trying to sell to. And when I talk to them about our product, they're like, your product's garbage. It shows that whoever built your company doesn't understand my problems. That's what it proves. And they're losing a lot of business right now. So don't assume that you're just the smartest or just being chummy. He was really good friends with almost everybody in the company, the other CEO, but makes a lot of stupid decisions, to be frank.
Interesting.
So communicating is not everything. You also have to have articulation. You also need to know what the heck you're talking about. And you need to know enough by going to conferences and talking to other people to know how to deliver results that someone else wants.
So it's just a combination of it, getting the right tools together.
Yeah.
For everybody.
And can it be learned? Yes, it can be learned. I'm a CEO. Like, how do I deliver for my clients, and how do I hire people, and how did I know like whether I wanted that salesperson to do X, Y, or Z? Because I had lived it. I had been trying to sell it. I had been trying to prospect. I had been talking to job seekers. I interviewed job seekers to see what their problem is. So then I can deliver a service that addresses the problem and fix it for them. That's how you make money in business.
Yeah.
Fixing other people's problems. So also just like on a side note, I think we're done, but on a side note, if you are the best communicator in the world, and you're just a fantastic orator and people love to listen to you, and you are charismatic and everybody's your friend, well, if you're an assuming idiot, who cares? You could be leading the entire company or the entire group of people following you down the wrong path.
Yeah.
That's dangerous. I have 26,000 followers on LinkedIn, and I've had millions of views. If I'm just out there giving people bad advice, that's really terrible. I'm helping them not get jobs. I'm a passionate person, so I know that like my tone changed and stuff, but I'm being serious. Can you imagine if 800,000 people read my post and they did something that I told them to do in an interview and none of them got a job? That's a problem because they just thought I was charismatic. That's terrible. Like, that is horrific. So you need to know what you're talking about. You can't just be a really fun speaker. You need to actually help people.
The rubber hits the road.
The other last piece about this is, let's talk about communication that may or may not help your book, but it just came to me, so maybe it will. What about reverse communication?
What do you mean?
What about how you receive communication?
Oh.
Not just how you give it. So far,
Like active listening?
yeah. Like so far we've talked a lot about like how I do it, how I as a business owner receive communication. But what about how I respond in a communicative way? Do I actually listen to you? Do you feel cared about? Do you feel like your opinions were valued in the business meeting? So we've chatted about this just a little bit, but I believe that one of the things that helps anybody get a job and also anybody get promoted is actually your ability to disagree professionally. So what do I mean by that? My ideas aren't always liked by my peers or my boss. So can I take critical feedback? And I mean critical. This is wrong. This is not good. Where'd you get that data? Business doesn't always have time for the fluff.
Yeah.
Can you receive critical feedback and say, oh, objectively, not subjectively? So the natural human thing to do is to put your emotions into it. That's the natural thing. Yeah. Oh, they don't like me. I'm bad at this. So now what happens? You become defensive. Whether that's in marriage, whether that's in whether that's in marriage, a community event, in church leadership, or in business, you become defensive. Well, now that's bad for everybody. It's always bad to be defensive. Always better to be open to reception. So then what you can say is this, and you can say, oh, I think that's an interesting perspective. I don't agree with you because of this and this. And I've done that before. They're like, I don't like this, this, and this. And I tell them, oh, that's interesting. Can you please explain your perspective of the data as to why you think you didn't like my idea?
Yeah. And
then you have a chance to now deliberate and collaborate about how to get something accomplished. This is about like people getting jobs, but they're students, right? So many of them aren't married. You know very well, this is important in marriage. Yeah. You and your spouse are gonna have lots of disagreements. Your ability to say, hey, honey, I respect that how you view how we're treating the children or preparing for this event, or you're stressing out about this. How you deliver that is going to really be key in your relationship. And people tell me, I'm going to close with this. So many people, it's just a pet peeve of mine. I just can't believe that people say this, but they do all the time. Chris, I'm a different person at home than I am in the business world. And I tell them, hate to break it to you, you're not. If you're a jerk to your wife, you're probably a jerk to your employees. It's just the facts of life, dude. I had a very senior leader tell me this. He was headhunted by some of the largest organizations in the world and had spoken at these major conferences. He also has an IQ of about 159. Like he had like a certificate that said he's like a certified genius. And he is. We were doing interview prep. We helped get him interviews at Microsoft. He got to the end, like the SVPs of all of Microsoft, making millions of dollars. And he wasn't hired. And he wanted a refund for the $3,000 he had paid me, different packages. And I told him, I delivered on everything I told you. I told you how to act in the interviews. I coached you on it for hours. And every time, I mean 100%, not 90%, 100% of the time he said, I'm different in the interview than I am with you. And my response to him professionally was, why? I'm coaching you to get $1 million job. Why in the heck would you be different with me, who you paid $3,000 to help you, than you are with the vice president? I don't believe you. I think you're exactly this person in the interview. And that's why you weren't hired. They don't want you reporting to them because they don't like your personality. You're a know-it-all, arrogant, can't swear, don't swear, but it just came across every time he spoke. He knows he's brilliant. Of course you are. Great. You were also just fired from a really great job because the CEO didn't like you. And he did not want to accept that. Yeah. And he was suing them for a lot of money. Potentially it was unlawful what they did to him. But
bottom line was they didn't want to work with him.
Yeah. So I'm not the only person that gets fired because people don't want to work with you. This happens to people. The difference is when I received that, I chose to receive it. And I said, oh, so I literally spent 2 or 3 days after being fired recently and thought to myself, you know, they gave me some good feedback, and I went through and literally thought of experiences within those 6 months. I could see how I offended someone in that meeting. Maybe I should change that. That's called retrospection. A lot of humans don't have retrospection. You want to be a better communicator? Spend a little bit of downtime without your headphones in and actually be retrospective. Try to look at it with a clean glass of water or a magnifying glass and just say, maybe what they said, maybe there's some truth to what they said, rather than being defensive. Maybe I really wasn't as kind as I should have been. Maybe I wasn't as smart as I thought I was in the meeting. Maybe I brought up some points that rubbed people the wrong way, or I didn't wait my turn. I just was always rushing to speak out of turn, acting like I was the smartest in the room, and I was going to solve the problems. By the way, I've done all these things. And I've fixed a lot of them. But it took 10 years.
Yeah.
So don't learn what they are early so you can start fixing them sooner. Don't wait like Chris Pyeatt, 10 years out of college. Anyways, I hope this was helpful.
I think it was. I think it was. All right. Well, thank you, Chris. Again, Chris Pyeatt.